أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على رسولنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه وأتباعه وسلم. So we have been studying Surah Al-A'raf, and last week we studied verses from 19 until 22. So inshallah today we will just start, maybe remember what we discussed briefly last week and continue to, inshallah, at the end of today, we are going to conclude this discussion. So I will very quickly go over last time. So last time we started from verse 19. The conversation up until 19 was between Iblis and God. Now after 19, the conversation was turning to between God and Adam. So in 19 it was saying, وَيَا آدَمُ اسْكُنْ أَنْتَ وَزَوْجُكَ الْجَنَّةَ فَكُلَا مِنْ حَيْثُ شِئْتُمَا وَلَا تَقْرَبَا هَذِهِ الشَّجَرَةَ فَتَكُونَا مِنَ الظَّالِمِينَ. So then the Creator was saying, Adam, O Adam, dwell you and your wife in this garden and eat both of you whatever you may wish, but do not approach this one tree. If you do so, you will become evildoers. Then in verse 20, فَوَسْوَسَ لَهُمَا الشَّيْطَانُ لِيُبْدِيَ لَهُمَا مَا وُرِيَ عَنْهُمَا مِنْ سَوْآتِهِمَا وَقَالَ مَا نَهَاكُمَا رَبُّكُمَا عَنْ هَذِهِ الشَّجَرَةِ إِلَّا أَنْ تَكُونَا مَلَكَيْنِ أَوْ تَكُونَا مِنَ الْخَالِدِينَ. Thereupon Satan whispered unto the two with a view to making them conscious of their nakedness, of which up until this point they had been unaware. And he said, your sustainer has but forbidden you this tree, so that otherwise you too become angels, or you will live forever. So in the first one, we talked about the garden being the life that we live in, and the tree, we said that it might be anything with which, if I approach things from that angle, I will start wronging myself. And now this deluding thoughts or the whispers of Satan was coming in, and it was again encouraging me to approach things from that angle. And the example was, let's say, my little daughter over there. So as if I am being created in this sort of a relationship, because I find myself to be in this sort of a relationship. And the Creator says, okay, go and enjoy, benefit from this relationship. But there is an aspect in this relationship that you shouldn't be taking this angle, this perspective, as if let's say, the relationship between me and my daughter is a garden, there is a tree in this garden which I shouldn't be picking from. And last week, I guess Abdurrahman was making the comment saying that it is claiming ownership over, or maybe I can say that I'm going to become the best father ever, and attributing some sort of perfection to myself. So this was one such example, and we can extrapolate this to anything. So, and Satan's whisper in there was, your sustainer forbidding you this sort of a relationship, because if you do it, you're going to become eternal. Eternal meaning that I'm going to be the perfect father, perfect satisfaction. I'm going to find it in such a relationship. If I become the perfect father, I'm going to feel awesome. And this is how I approach things. I'm trying to do things in the best possible way, so that I'm going to be the best possible doer of this action. And then in verse 21, وَقَاسَمَهُمَا إِنِّي لَكُمَا لَمِنَ النَّاصِحِينَ, and then Satan swore unto them, verily, I am of those who wish you well indeed. And when we hear such thoughts, it sounds very positive. Becoming the best father ever, what's wrong with that? It sounds as if it is a really a suggestion coming from someone who wish well to me, without any doubt. Then in verse 22, فَدَلَّهُمَا بِغُرُورٍ, And thus he led them on with deluding thoughts. فلما ذاق الشجرة بدت لهما سوآتهما وتفيق يخصفان عليهما من ورق الجنة وناداهما ربهما ألم أنهكما عن تلكما الشجرة وأقول لكما إن الشيطان لكما عدو مبين. But as soon as the two had tasted of the tree, they became conscious of their nakedness, and they began to cover themselves with pieced together leaves from the garden. And their sustainer called unto them, Did I not forbid that tree unto you, and tell you, verily Satan is your open foe? And so when we were discussing this verse, so they were deluded by this thought. So this part is also important because what Satan claiming was baseless, but this baseless claim of if you get this, you're going to become eternal, is so overwhelming that we fell for it. I want to be the best father, and it sounds very appealing, and I fell with this deluding thought. But as I attempt to establish my relationship as such, then I start realizing my nakedness. And when we were talking about nakedness, some of the comments were realizing my incapacity, my, in this example, inability to become perfect father by myself. I do not have any qualities inherently belonging to me. How am I going to become the perfect father? And in our relationships, we experience this a lot. We try to be the best spouse, best friend, best son, best father. And as long as we try to do it by attributing the perfection to ourselves, we keep failing. Immediately we start failing. And for example, when I do it, I realize my incapacity as soon as I start attempting it, as if all my energy is being drained. And last week, one of the examples were, let's say I am lending you money from a bank, but I'm not owner of the money, as if I am stealing from the bank and lending it to you. But since if the owner of the bank closes the door to me, then money finishes. My trick is now apparent, as if I was pretending I am a very rich man. I am the best and most giving person on earth. But immediately I realize, everybody realizes that I was actually a robber. I was stealing it from somewhere. And here is what's going on. As such, as soon as the two had tasted the fruit of the tree, they become conscious of their nakedness, their incapacity. Another word that Chaplain Perry used was their vulnerability. And then they began to cover themselves with pieced together leaves from the garden. We are going to refer back to this verse as, again, this part of the verse. They started covering up their nakedness with leaves. And when we were mentioning this, we said that as if, let's say, I'm trying to become the best father, I realize my incapacity and the futility of my attempt, actually, and my inability. But I try to cover up my inability with something from the garden, as if I am trying to make this relationship or cover up my faults, as if, well, it's something really good to be the best father. Finding some excuses to cover up my faults. And we do that all the time. I do something wrong. I realize that my attempt was wrong. Once I realize it, my immediate, as if, reflex is to cover it up. But then the response comes from the Creator. Their sustainer called unto them, Did I not forbid you that tree? And did I not tell you that Satan is your enemy? And this call we were mentioning last week that we keep hearing. Once I fail establishing the best father relationship or best son, best friend, whatever, or another example was trying to, let's say, write the best academic paper out there, any sort of attempt. Once I fail and realize my nakedness, immediately deep inside, I receive this call which says, did I not tell you not to attempt this as such? I know actually that I was guilty. Deep inside, the Creator is always speaking to me as such. So now let's start from verse 23.
Ask a question. So, I'm thinking about the tree. It says tree, and yet he was told to stay away from the tree. And generally, when we are forbidden to do things, like let's say I'm forbidden to steal from someone. Yes, this is a command. It's also like forbidden for us, but also we try to understand why it's bad for us, and we try to confirm that it's actually bad for us, like claiming ownership. It seems bad, it looks bad, it wouldn't actually be a tree for me. I'd say like, it looks like a snake actually. I mean, like the alluring snake is like the image for it. Like I could see that it's bad, and I would try to confirm it rather than just it's forbidden being like the main reason. Then here, he's being forbidden to go to this tree, and a tree is like a very neutral image to me. It seems very neutral. Like it's as if maybe he doesn't. It's maybe not important for him to even see that it looks bad or seems bad. It's just been forbidden. I feel like there's some emphasis there. Like maybe in my life, I'm also putting too much emphasis on actually trying to confirm that something is bad, when maybe you should just follow a law. Like after you're convinced that it is a command, maybe you should just follow it. I'm not sure.
Yes. And if you can realize that it's a command and you are conscious of it, I guess, you will not approach it. But let's say this sort of a relationship is quite new for me, father-child relationship. And although theoretically, we might have talked for hours and hours about not claiming ownership over anything, when it comes to this cute relationship with the baby, I guess being a human, I am being deluded by those thoughts or suggestions. It's my truth, actually. As if I fell for it, as if involuntarily, I would say. Or I am meant to fall for it. Not to say that I do not, for example, right now in front of me, there is a choice, two choices. I can be conscious and not to try to be the perfect father for the sake of my perfection, but just enjoy what my Creator gives me and gives her with this relationship. But there's this very, I would say, tasty way of just inclination in there, which I can easily jump. And I guess this is what this verse is saying. Although, in theory, I know that I shouldn't be getting close to there. This is a very theoretical knowledge. Don't get close to here. But without tasting it, I do not recognize my nakedness. So this is why tasting from the tree is not bad in and of itself, I am going to say. A little bit of a stretch in there. But because eventually tasting from the tree will become the education for these, like in this story, Adam and Eve, in my story, for my own education. Falling for this deluding thought and trying to become the best father is part of my education, because otherwise it's going to be very distant and theoretical knowledge. But I fell for it and I realized that I was making a mistake. I can immediately turn back as Adam is doing in here. Or I might wish to just stay in there like Iblis did. So I guess this falling for such whispers is, in here, Qur'an is actually describing me, myself, saying that you will fall. This is how you are designed, if you like. This is how I created you. You're going to fall for it. it's by design. It's not that, like, this story is not, in a way, I heard this once from someone, and it was very funny. So once we were on a bus trip with someone, somehow the conversation came to humanity, and he said, well, God created humanity, but later on he repented. I shouldn't have created this, but it was too late. So it was a very funny thing, as if, I mean, God did it, then things got out of control. He was imagining humanity to be good, but just it got messed up somehow, and now he's trying to fix it. But Satan in this story is not like there is this guy created out there, and then just he goes out of control and now challenging God, and now God is like fighting with him, sort of an imagery. Doesn't make any sense. But if I take it as it is describing me here, and Satan is part of my education, even we can say that Satan is my teacher in a sense, because I am learning. I mean, although it's like a tricky way of a teacher, but through the challenging of or the wrong suggestions, I try, fail, realize my mistake, and now starts my choice. Am I going to repent, or am I going to go as Satan did in the story? Say that, no, I was right. You misled me, God. So this is the part that my choice is going to be practiced on. So in a sense, what I'm trying to say in summary is, falling in this case is not bad per se, if I take a lesson from this fall. It becomes bad if I do not repent, meaning that if I do not get a lesson from it, if I do not admit my nakedness.
So when you say it would be reasonable, let's say talking about the snake, because I can confirm it. So I guess like we shouldn't forget that the Quran is not there to tell us that things that we already know, just for the sake of proving itself. Like I don't remember, for instance, like other than metaphorical uses, that a verse something like the fire burns, so you don't put your hand in it. If there was such a verse, for instance, I could easily confirm and say that, oh yeah, what Quran says it's right. But it would be kind of useless in the sense of guidance. So I guess the confirmation comes when you hear a guidance which tells you something that you are not aware of. Either you follow it, find the pleasure, or you don't follow it, become lost. And this is your confirmation. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a guidance. Otherwise, if I tell you that, be aware of snakes, it just, you would say, okay, but it won't be a guidance for you. You already know it. You should be aware of snake. So with the confirmation, if you mean something like, I will read the verse and right away I know that what is written there is right, then the Quran would be full of verses like 2 plus 2 equals 4, therefore I'm your Lord. But instead, what is told in here, he says, when you look at the verse, dwell you and your wife in this garden, eat, both of you, whatever you may wish. So you will find all these different resources, all these different bounties given to you. Just enjoy them. But there are some among them, you won't be able to realize that they are different than the others. You won't be able to realize that they are harmful for you. Therefore, here I am, as a Furqan, separator of the wrong from right. And I'm telling you, that these trees, they are not good for you. They are, if you approach them, you will become evildoers. And if I leave it to you, if you were left alone, as Yusuf was saying, you would think it's so natural, so nice to try to, I don't know, with his example, try to become a perfect father. There's nothing wrong with it. You would think, Quran says. Because you are not able to make such distinctions, but just by just looking at them. And I'm telling you, and I'm then explaining in the following the verses why they are bad and how they become bad for you. You can confirm by either, find the pleasure in not approaching the tree, but most of the time you will approach the tree and you become lost, and this will be your confirmation. Otherwise, at least to me, like the idea of Furqan, the separator of the right and wrong, it vanishes. If from confirmation what I understand is, I will read the verses and I will say, okay, this is true. If this is the case, that means I already know that it is true. It should tell me something about myself. Sometimes I forget, sometimes I'm not aware of. It should guide me through darkness. If it is already light, there's no need for darkness. So the fact that the tree is so natural, did you say natural? Neutral. Okay, neutral, yeah. The fact that the tree seems to you so neutral, sometimes so attractive, as Satan says, angelic, everlasting, eternal. Sometimes it looks like that. This fact, I think it's part of the picture. It should be that way. Otherwise, how can you talk about guidance in the first place? If I can separate true from the right from the wrong already, why do you need guidance?
And can we say, as I thought Brahman was making this point last time, so as if it sounds like this is just one of the trees out there. It's not a specifically dangerous tree, as you are saying. It is, the Creator says, enjoy yourself and don't get close to this one. So, despite this, they are deluded by the thought that this one has something specific and it's going to give them eternity. And with this thought, they violate the rule of being a guest and become like steal something. Because the owner was saying that you are my guest in here, enjoy, and this is also mine, and don't touch it. So what is being violated in here is this. The ownership is being violated. So it's not that the fruit of tree is dangerous per se. I mean, like a cute baby. What's dangerous about a cute baby? But if I approach this relationship from a perspective that the owner of this relationship, owner of the baby, and owner of all the feelings in between, says that enjoy it as my guest, but don't try to steal it. Don't try to claim ownership over anything in this relationship. Because if I try to become perfect father, I am claiming the title of perfection to myself. So it's a matter of ownership. So this is what I am violating in this relationship. Otherwise, it's not that the thing itself is dangerous here. I mean, it's not like a snake is because in the imagery that you put, snake is something that is dangerous in itself. So if somebody says, don't get close to snake, you know that it makes sense I shouldn't get close to snake. But by that tree, what is being said is, it's not a matter of tree really. What we are violating there is the ownership, that this is the thing we are violating. The thing itself is not dangerous. My way of approaching it is dangerous. This is why, yes, you're right. The tree is neutral. And it's not a apparently dangerous object in there.
So following your example from last week, so we would take baby as the garden and trees in the garden as different ways of approaching to baby. So in this analogy, the tree itself become dangerous, become wrong. It may appear neutral to you, or sometimes it may appear right, even more attractive than the others to you. But the tree itself, in this specific example, for instance, from this angle, the tree itself becomes something bad and dangerous. But I'm not objecting what you said. What you said is perfectly right. And most of the times, not most of the times, but most part of every occasion of something being forbidden is the fact that it is forbidden. That's the biggest part. That when we object this, when we act against this command, yes, we are violating the fact that it was forbidden, and this is the biggest part. So we don't need to find reasoning in it. That's definitely true, because of the ownership. But from other angles, we can also see that the approach itself, or the tree itself, in this example, could be harmful for you by design.
And I guess in this perspective, because Satan is still deceiving them the way that he himself was deluded, because he was thinking that fire is better than clay inherently. And he's doing the same to them, saying that this is inherently going to give you eternity. I guess along the same lines, the tree in and of itself, it's just a tree, but the way that I approach it makes it dangerous for me or harmful for me. Because otherwise it is a tree out there. So there is a way of relationship between me and my daughter. And if I approach it from that angle, it becomes dangerous for me. So I guess maybe I'm getting lost with the metaphor and the truth of it. So, but maybe this much should be fine for now. So, then in verse number 23, قال ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين. قال, so the two replied, O our sustainer, we have wronged ourselves. We have wronged to ourselves. وَإِن لَمْ تَغْفِرْ لَنَا, and if you do not forgive us, and you do not have or bestow your mercy upon us, we shall most certainly be lost. I guess I remember discussing this verse as well. We said that the manifestation of, so in this case, the two are seeking forgiveness. So if I admit my nakedness and fault, and then say that if unless or other than your mercy, there's nothing that will make me feel existing. So, because I was trying to be the perfect father, maybe in the eyes of her, my daughter, or in the eyes of society, or at least I want to say that I am a perfect father, at least within my own gaze. I want to see myself as a perfect father. And this gaze, this look of either others or myself, about myself in terms of perfection, is the thing that makes me feel good. But once I realize this, once I realize my nakedness, I say that only your mercy, I, I can only think of me as an existence as I realize your mercy being bestowed upon me, meaning that I am nothing but a manifestation of mercy. This is the only thing that I can talk about myself. Who am I? I am a manifestation of mercy. So the way I understood this verse as, because we were, since the beginning, we are asking the question, who am I? So in here it is saying that I am not a perfect father, I am nothing in this sense, but everything in this relationship is just manifestation of mercy. I used to attribute it to myself, but now I am seeing it as it's just a manifestation of mercy. It was all about him. So, if there is no comment, or is there any comment before we start 24? Verse 24 is the new verse that we didn't study. 24 قال اهبطوا بعضكم لبعض عدو ولكم في الأرض مستقر ومتاع إلى حين. Now the conversation continues. The Creator replies, down with you. So he said, the Creator said, down with you, or go down. And be from now on enemies unto one another, having unearthed your abode and livelihood for a while. So very interesting verse. They were in a garden or in a paradise. They were in Jannah. So Jannah is either paradise or garden, and they have been using it as, since I am in this story, what sort of a garden am I in? I am in this existence, in this universe. This is why we said that the relationship between me and my daughter can be considered as a garden as well. So now the Creator says, once you realize your fault in this relationship, go down from that paradise, being enemies to one another. What does this being enemies to one another mean? This is the first question. Second question, it says, وَلَكُمْ فِي الْأَرْضِ. So there's this ard. On earth, there will be an abode and livelihood for you for a while. So what is earth in here? Because as if falling down from paradise or garden to ard, to earth. What does this signify? Is garden in this story was somewhere very pleasant, a place where Adam and Eve was invited for, if you like, a banquet as guests. Now they are being, if you like, cast down, sent down to earth. What is this earth? And maybe the definition of earth, does it have anything to do with one being an enemy of the other? What does this, because it says go down as enemies to one another. And you are going to find an abode on earth and a livelihood for a while. Any ideas, any comments?
I mean, not specifically for this verse, but it feels like their previous prayer to be forgiven is like not accepted almost.
So in your case, what does it sound like? So let's say you
Like you ask for forgiveness, but you're still going to get a slap on the wrist.
So And so seeking for forgiveness in this case is you realize your faultiness, and you realize that without forgiveness or realization of all this relationship being just a manifestation of mercy, I am nothing, I am lost really. The only thing that I can say in terms of existence pertaining to me is manifestation of mercy. You are now at this realization. And then comes this verse which says, go down to earth. And there you are going to be enemies to one another. How does it describe you? Or do you find yourself in such a position? Once you, after this sort of a realization, how come that the Creator explaining my state, or is it really properly explaining my state as go down as enemies to one another, to earth, on earth, you're going to find an abode, meaning somewhere to live or establish, and then some livelihood for a bio. What does this mean?
I guess like after you did something wrong and you realized it and you ask for forgiveness in real life, it doesn't just immediately become good or amazing. It's not like the darkness just immediately lifts away. For some time it does stay and you feel sad or guilty or it lingers. It does linger, I suppose.
Actually, this is a good point. Let's say, since this father-daughter relationship started anew, I cannot make much comment about it. But let's say, having the dream of becoming the best computer scientist or whatever is my job. And let's say I invest on it for several years, 10 years, 15 years, whatever. Or if you start from primary school, day and night you keep studying. And then you realize that this seeking of perfection for yourself is futile. So does it happen overnight within this realization immediately? Do I go back to paradise? Because in here, or do I go back to the garden? Meaning that the state of, oh, okay, I'm here only to enjoy. Because this was the initial state, right? The initial state was they were guests to enjoy, but they violated, or I violated this relationship of ownership. I thought that I'm going to become the best computer scientist, I'm going to be famous, and I tried to maybe find some excuses around it. I'm going to be famous because, like, Muslims should be whatever, strong in this area. A lot of things can happen in there. I mean, there might be people out there, sincerely doing it. In my case, it was not. So let's say once I realize my wrong attitude, do I start enjoying from the garden immediately? Or let's say 15 years of build up? Where do I find myself? And why is it enemies unto one another? This might be a key in there, enemies to one another. And also the word out of the earth might be give us some clue. In Qur'an, samawat and ard, like the heavens and the earth, are being used as if next to each other. So we might get some help in terms of their general use, in what sense they are being used. Are they being used for heavenly bodies versus this globe of earth? This might be one meaning of it. But I guess there's this other meaning of it, which is sama or samawat, the heavens, as we have been discussing before in other occasions, it is the aspect of things that looks to its maker. What does this mean? Very abstract. So I guess if I give this example, I don't know if it's going to be any better, but let's say this paper has a sema and an ard. So sema of this paper is, or the ard of this paper, the earth part of this paper is, it's just paper and ink, and some black shapes are on it. But the sema of it is, so somebody is trying to give a message with this paper. So, because otherwise this paper is, if you like, from two dimensions, it's a two-dimensional surface for you. But now you can go, if you like, a third dimension through this paper, through the ink that is written on here. You say that there is a message in it. It refers to somebody else. Because the earth means it refers to itself in terms of this much ink, this much paper, this much shapes on it. And I can talk about the paper about itself that much. But this paper also refers to somebody else more than it refers to itself. To whom or to what does it refer to? It refers to the author of this text, saying that the author had a message, and this is the message that it's trying to convey. And this is now a, if you like, vertical relationship to conceptualize it. The horizontal relationship is the relationship over this surface. The vertical relationship is now we are going into the text and reaching the person behind the text. So in this existence also, the Creator is inviting me for a banquet in a paradise, meaning that enjoy whatever you experience in here as gifts. So enjoy the thing on here, not in terms of the horizontal relationship between them, but read it as a text telling about me as by the author, and communicate with me through the message. This was the initial invitation. But what did I do? I started saying that, well, maybe there's something special with this letter A at the very beginning. It's special in and of itself. And I started establishing horizontal relationship or seeking something just within horizontal relationship instead of trying to go beyond the text. So as if I am now getting stuck in the earth of it. Because it can happen. I can just say that, wow, look at this letter, wow, at the very beginning. So, and I can get stuck there and forget about reading the text. So in here, apparently this is what's happening. Since I get stuck with the earthly aspect of it, so I am falling from this heaven to earth, actually, as if this verse 24 is opening up a parenthesis, saying that between my mistake and my realization of my fault, there is some sort of a time in between the two. I do not immediately wake up. Because I built up 15 years of dreams about my job, and I established a wrong relationship with it, and now I am pretty much in the earth of it. I am realizing my mistake, but in order to recover from this, there's going to be some time in which I'm going to learn my mistakes, from my mistakes. I will realize, again, from trial and error, nothing will satisfy me. Maybe because of my habit, I will try to find satisfaction. I will say that, well, maybe it was about computer science. If I did arts, maybe I would enjoy it. Or maybe social sciences was the right thing. So still, I am being given different, still, I pass some time in the horizontal relationship, trying to figure out my way out of this two-dimensional surface. and to go to a third dimension. But why is it enemies to one another, though? Can it be on this horizontal relationship, I'm going to find a lot of contradictions. The things will contradict with each other. It will not make sense to me. Because living in this, like out of the earth, because I look at the paper and I just want to make comments about the letters. Let's say a lot of art, a lot of somebody paying a lot of attention to writing it, I'm going to find in it. But then, since I'm not focusing on the meaning of it, I cannot make sense of. But it looks like they're put in some order. There should be something more than just ink and paper over here. It doesn't make sense. I'm going to be burdened by the contradictions that I observe in this earth. Enemies to one another, meaning, let's say I'm going to see that although I put a lot of effort for the sake of humanity, I'm going to make something, but then either nobody is going to appreciate it, or which is going to be a contradiction for me, because I am doing something good, people are responding as if I did something bad, or people are responding as if it was just not important, which is as if I take it as an enemy to me now. A contradiction. I put goodwill, people responded with bad will. Or I'm going to see that there are like beautiful animals out there which are being killed because of, I don't know, a hurricane comes and they're being killed. Some sort of contradiction is just going to keep hitting me as long as I live on earth, meaning that I do not see the meaning or the one that speaks behind these words. If I do not try to see them, the words will start becoming very disturbing for me, as if they're fighting with each other. To the extent that even I will say, in terms of this life, it is a fight between everything and only the fittest survives. This is going to become my motto. Survival of the fittest is how this universe is working. Everything is fighting against each other. This would be my perspective. As long as I live on earth, meaning that, again, metaphorically speaking, if I'm not in paradise, if I'm not in heaven, sama, but if I am on Ard, the earth, if I get stuck with this horizontal relationships, I'm going to find a lot of contradictions, and they're going to be a burden on me. And I will stay in there for a while, and I do stay in there. I cannot make sense of it. I said that, well, it was very intuitive, very good to become a good computer scientist, but why is it not satisfying me? Why is it disturbing me at points? So, or anything of this sort, all the mistakes that I make in life, I stay in this contradictory or stormy feelings throughout the way. Does it make sense? What do you think? So I was trying to understand this enemies unto one another. This is what comes to my mind, but if you have any other comments, I will be more than happy to hear. Enemies to one
another. Let me start from the end. Maybe it will take me somewhere about that. I'm not sure. What I find it very interesting, he says, having on earth your abode and livelihood for a while, in contrast to the garden, where you can enjoy, you can eat whatever you wish. So this is your reality. You are a guest in the garden. You can eat whatever you wish. But through becoming, lost and becoming wrongdoer, the point you reach or the way you will see the reality would be as if you have just some livelihood, and you have to kind of, I mean, it's not said here, but this is what I understand from livelihood at least, that you have to earn it, you have to protect it, you have to be careful so that it won't be lost. And you have to make all these calculations, okay, that much to bills, that much to children, that much to education, whatever. So this is how what I understand from livelihood. And as if Lord says, this is the life you will live. You will find some livelihood, some about there. And through that, you will have this struggle on earth. You can take it as you said, a struggle in the journey of making sense of things, because you're trying to survive. So everything would be seem difficult to you, but also very practically, you will struggle with everyone else, every creature else. The animals will become enemy to you. Your friends will become enemy to you, because you have to survive. So yes, there's this aspect of livelihood which is positive, as if our Lord is telling us that I will provide your livelihood. But when I take it in contrast to the garden, where I can eat whatever I wish already, livelihood becomes something demoted. Like I demote the garden to livelihood. And through this, I experienced this struggle, the enmity.
Can it also be that since initially I was in this paradise and whatever I was provided or wish I can eat, but now I am sent down to earth. But in here, I am provided with some food or some livelihood. So, and because in the next verse, it's going to tell us a way back or how to get out of here. So it looks like in here there's going to be some sort of a training, as if you are being sent to a battlefield. But during the battle, I'm going to feed you. I will give you food, but I will also show you a way to come out of this battle. So what's the point of sending me to battlefield? It's not to torture you. I want to make you learn something, and I'm going to look after you when you are there, and you are going to stay there for a while, and then you will come back, or I'm going to take you out from there again. So it's a training, it's not like torture. Because this story might be read as a punishment. Now they're being cast down, and once they suffer enough, then they're going to be taken back. But if I look at myself, this looks like as if I was programmed to make such mistakes, and I am being put in this place for a certain time. I am being given some time, and I am being given also some livelihood and some environment in which I can survive. But also there's going to be some sort of enmity, pretty much like a battlefield. I'm going to find some enemies or something that contradicts me. Then with this contradiction, I'm going to learn stuff, and I'm going to be taken back to a paradise in which there is no enmity. Because when I'm on earth, I am being bothered by death, I am being bothered by a lot of things that are happening, climate change, or, you count all the problems that are out there. But if I start understanding what all these mean, they're not going to be disturbing to me. This reminds me of movies. So throughout the movie, there are, like, if the director is a wise one, So you see that the movie starts fine, like in a sunny spring day, whatever. But a few minutes into the movie, things start getting cumbersome. Things are starting to just fork. And you don't understand why this is happening, why that is happening. Things are starting to as if fall apart. But eventually, as you come to the end of the movie, all the forks merges to a single point, and then you get a good end or a message from out of this movie. So this is pretty much how my life is. Initially, things are starting nice, then things start forking out, and I cannot make sense of things as if just things are fighting with each other or contradicting each other. If there is, like in this existence, if there's life, there's hatred. If there is beauty, there's ugliness. I mean, in more abstract sense, all such contradictions. But is there a way, or the Creator says there is a way to this? All these will converge because in the paradise, in the heaven, in the garden, you were just enjoying. There were no contradiction, no opposites. So now I mean, as a person who is living on earth, meaning that still on this horizontal relationship, getting lost in the horizontal relationships, I do feel this enmity. I'm trying to like fight for something, yet earn something for myself, or I'm trying to resolve these contradictions. In the next verse, 25, قال فيها تحيون وفيها تموتون منها تخرجون. And there shall you live, he added, and there shall you die, and thence shall you be brought forth. You live there, you die, and then you're going to be brought back.
I don't understand because he went to the tree, like just the example of a tree. He was living in paradise. He went to the tree. He realized his wrong. This is for me death now, like life to death. But then he realized that he made something wrong, so he asked for forgiveness. And now he's being sent back into, let's say, death or the earth. And then he's going to live again on earth and then die on earth. I'm getting very lost in this example.
So can we say that, let's say, I made this relationship wrong, and I realized something is wrong with my relationship with my daughter or with my job. I realized something is wrong in there, and I'm very much troubled by it. I did something wrong. I'm trying to figure out how am I going to get out of this? Because I am badly deluded. I invested my whole life on it. And now after 35 years, I say, what did I do? 35 years is gone. I thought I was going to achieve satisfaction, but I didn't. I realized my mistake, and I said that, oh, my Maker, if you do not save me from here, I am truly lost. But this is not immediately making me realize how to get out of here. So, but it looks like as if Creator says, I'm going to make you live sometime in there. You're going to learn from how to get out of there, and then you're going to die. So again, this what is living, what is dying? Maybe we should ask this question because this is where I find myself. I am in this condition. I am truly living sometime in the state of this after realization. Still, I am finding myself in this struggle. So I can understand what living in there means. But what does it mean to die and being brought back? Is it, I mean, of course, if we take it as talking about my lifetime as a human, 6 to 70 years later, I'm going to, I mean, every single one of us, no doubt, is going to die and will be brought back. This is a clear meaning. But can it be that before dying, like physically dying, is it possible to go back to the paradise again? Because I fell from paradise. I mean, this relationship between me and my daughter, or relationship between me and my job, can it be that I can still now be in peace with my relationship with my job or with my daughter? Once I realize that I messed it up, is there a way that can I recover this relationship in a way that it's going to become again a fruit of paradise for me? And it would be awesome if I achieve this when I'm living this life. So wouldn't you enjoy going to work, and while you're doing the work, you don't take it as just some boring job, but instead you're saying that no, actually I am eating fruits of paradise here, meaning that I am each and everything that I study here makes me realize my maker. It would be awesome. I wouldn't be looking for, oh, it's 6, so now I have to, oh, hooray, I'm going home. But instead, the work itself can be joyful. But how? I mean, this now I'm trying to understand. How am I going to die, and then I'm going to be brought back to paradise? What does death mean here? Because it's understandable in real life, dying, because after death, it makes perfect sense. But how about its personal relationships? You look like you have an answer.
I was thinking that I talked a lot, so I should listen more. That was what I was thinking.
Okay. We can listen. We have no issues with listening.
You talk less than him, so you can
Yes.
talk.
But I'm supposed to talk less.
No, I am tired. Please go.
I don't have like a clear answer to this dying part. Maybe following verses kind of explaining it. But like maybe in a nutshell, there is also, I think, possible to understand all these verses as a description of the same moment, rather than this happens and then that happened and then that happened, now they have to come back and so on. Instead of that, all these verses telling me about my situation right now, the same moment, from different angles. Like I find myself in this garden, I'm enjoying all these trees, all this relationship with others, everything I find, but I don't find it enough, or I don't know, there are some whispers, but I don't know my boundaries within this garden. I'm attending or I'm intending to approach this, the boundary, to cross the boundary, whatever it means, like we discussed all these different way of understanding the boundary. And as soon as I do that, and it's like as soon as even thinking that, experiencing this, I find myself lost, but I don't know why. I don't know what this is. What's happening to me? Like there's something wrong with me. There's something wrong with the life, because it seems like something good. What I intending to do or what I'm doing, it seems like it's good. As Satan says, I am those who wish you well indeed. The promise Satan gives is sounds very good. Like, what is wrong with becoming more powerful? What is wrong becoming with, more attractive, better father, and so on? But I'm lost. Like I just see nakedness. I want to be perfect. I want to become perfect. I want to become angelic. But what I become lost, and I cannot make sense of it. So what's happening to me? And then Creator explains me what happens to me in this very moment, in this very action. That instead of living garden that I put you living on the earth. where there's all these enmities, all these struggles, all these contradictions, all these oppositions. And this is what makes you being lost. And then he says, but don't worry, I forgave you. Because within this struggle, within these oppositions, within this living on the earth experience that you have in the same moment, there's also a training for you. There's also a way of getting out of it. So again, this is just, I don't know, like I'm thinking a lot. I'm not sure if what I say makes sense or not for you. But as if the Creator from beginning to end explains me how I experience life now. From one angle, it's like, I'm just in the garden, but it's not enough, which gives me this trouble, which gives me this struggle. I get lost while I try to become perfect. But also I see a training in it. I see the process of, going back to garden in the same experience. And now, in the same moment, in the same experience, now I have to die. We can, I guess, take it as also being free of all this struggle or of all these the contradictions, oppositions.
Can you say for death, for example, if I die, what happens? It's very interesting, actually. In Surah An-Nisa, there is a good portion dedicated for inheritance. After you die, your money is not yours anymore. You get detached from it. And the owner of money, which is the Creator, is the one that distributes it among people. It's very interesting that Qur'an teaches how to distribute money among the people after you. Because owner of money is the one who gives it to me in the first place. After I die, I get detached from the money which I was claiming to be mine. It's not mine anymore because there's no more me in the sense that I would say I. So if I die, then the Creator says, okay, here is the money. It was already mine and I'm not distributing it among you guys. So this death is practically getting detached from things, from the things that I claimed ownership. And in the previous verse, it was saying that we will give you an abode and a livelihood. And I'm going to make the same mistake, right? I'm going to claim ownership over them. Because when I was with my relationship with the tree was, I want to become perfect, claiming ownership something of myself. I fell. The falling was already because of this wrong understanding of ownership. When I'm on earth, there are going to be again these ownership trainings. And the Creator says, once you die, once you get detached from those ownership claims, then you are going to come back to paradise. Because once you say that everything belongs to you, then this is the realization that puts me into paradise. This is the realization that makes me say that I am a guest in here. Everything belongs to Him already. If I truly understand this, which means I am now dead for the practical reason of I'm not owning anything, then no more fear, no more opposition, because since everything is coming from a single source, there is no more enmity anymore. The enmity, the opposition is there because I say this is mine, you say no, it's going to be mine. Hence the fight. Or I say that health is mine and this microbe over there is an enemy to me. It belongs to somebody else. The microbe or the virus belongs to somebody else. If it comes to my body, it's going to kill me, it's going to take my life away from me, and I'm claiming that life is mine. So this is why I am feeling very much nervous of becoming sick. Because to me, sickness is an enemy, it's an outsider. But if I realize that health is not mine, it doesn't belong to me, it is being given to me, and the same one is the owner of this virus or microbe as well. It's not, they are not opposing each other, they are coming from the same source. As I realize this, and as I release my false claims of ownership, then I enter to paradise. Then the sickness itself can become a joyful experience for me, in the sense that it's another manifestation of, in a different form. But this is why there's a hadith of Rasulullah says, die before you die. So the way now I understand this hadith in this context is, detach yourself from your false claims of ownership while you are alive. Before the actual physical death comes, you cut your ties or claims of ownership with the things, give them to their true owner, then get to paradise before you die. So it is possible to get into the garden, to the paradise, before dying. This is what I'm understanding from this, as we read the story as such, as my story. If I messed up something, a friendship relationship, parent-child relationship, let's say with my parents, or I messed it up with my work, and I said that, well, it was a bad choice of job. There's no way I can go back and study social sciences. We are going to bear with it. I have to die. I have to live with it for the next 30 years, and God willing, how long I will live, but let's say. Then in paradise, when I go back to paradise, I'm going to see the good aspects of my job and I'm going to enjoy it. It would be awesome if it happens before grave, right? And I guess this is showing us a way, saying that after you die, it's going to be good for you. Then the question is, how do I die? Don't commit suicide. This is not what we're doing. Good. So we have 2 more verses, and it would be nice if we can conclude this week. Verse 26. Now the story is being concluded. Ya Bani Adam. Now the Creator starts talking to sons of Adam, as if saying that I have been talking to you so far already, and you are the son of Adam. قد أنزلنا عليكم لباسا يواري سوآتكم وريشا ولباس التقوى ذلك خير ذلك من آيات الله لعلهم يذكرون. O children of Adam, we have bestowed upon you from on high garments to cover your nakedness, as a thing of beauty, and as a thing of beauty. The garment of God consciousness is the best of all. Herein lies a message from God, so that men might take it to heart. What is it now? As if the summary of the story, the Creator says, the crux of this story is how to make clothes. Because there was this nakedness was a very central theme in this story. And we said that this nakedness is my incapacity, my vulnerability. I thought that I'm going to become the perfect father, but I realized that it's not possible for me at all. Now the Creator says, we sent upon you from high, if you like, the knowledge of how to make clothes, or we sent down clothes to you. And continues saying that it's also to cover your nakedness, plus it's going to become a Larisha, the translation says, as a thing of beauty. It's going to beautify you. This cloth is going to beautify you. And says this clothing is God consciousness. And it is the best of clothes.
What is the word Risha?
I don't know the root. So let's contrast it. Previous way of reflexive way of making clothes was getting some leaves from the garden and trying to cover up my nakedness. This was as if human way of, without something being sent down upon me from high. Because the Creator says, we taught you from on high how to make a good clothing which is going to cover you. But also there's this alternative way of human automatically trying to cover up himself or herself with the leaves of the garden. So as if I cannot find a way to cover myself properly. Creator says, only I teach you how to properly cover yourself. If you were to be left on yourself, you will keep trying to cover yourself with leaves, which is a futile attempt. You will never be able to. I am trying to, let's say, it happens, right? I'm very much obsessed by being the best father or trying to become the best engineer, this or that. And I am trying to find some sort of add some meaning to it with my own efforts. But I keep failing. Because I had a very wrong initial point of trying to find meaning within things themselves. So it doesn't help. There is a fundamental mistake that I do there. So the meaning of things needs to come from on high. So again, going back to this analogy over here, I am trying to find meaning in this horizontal relationship. I'm trying to see why this letter Wav over here is before this other letter Elif over there, without trying to see what is behind. There is an author. The author is trying to give a message with this text. It's a text. It's not simply shapes, meaningless shapes. The positioning of letters doesn't mean anything really in and of themselves. So me trying to just, let's say, nationalism is a made-up concept on earth which doesn't have any truth. But I am trying to cover up my mistake of trying to become best. Well, I'm going to become the best engineer so that my nation, whatever is my nation, is going to be proud or elevated. I'm trying to cover up something with something which doesn't, it's not going to cover it up. It's not enough to cover up this nakedness, this incapacity. So this, but if I ask the question, then why am I working? Why am I supposed to work, become an engineer, become an artist, become whatever, a social scientist, whatever? What's the point of it? Why do I have to do that? This job or that job doesn't matter really. Why? Or why am I supposed to feed this stomach? Because at the end of the day, it's going to become empty. At the end of 60 years, it's going to become nothing altogether. What is the point of keep feeding it if it is going to become nothing in terms of its physical existence eventually? What's the point of just delaying its annihilation? It doesn't make any sense as I try to cover up myself with an the constructs that I find in here. But so trying to establish horizontal relationship doesn't help. So I need to find this vertical relationship, which in here the creator says, libasu taqwa, God consciousness. As much as I'm conscious about, if I try to find a meaning in feeding my stomach or establishing this relationship with my daughter, in terms of the one that gave the daughter to us, or the one that gives my existence right now to me. And I say that, what does he mean by putting us in this awkward relationship, like this very fragile, needy child over there, and I am being filled with mercy. I find myself to be merciful. It's not that I am willing to be merciful to the child. I just find the mercy as if pouring out from me. But it was not there before. So as if somebody's pouring it into me so that it's coming out of me. I didn't know such a feeling existed in me 4 months before. So as I question it, what does this relationship mean? Where is this coming from? This is really going to cover up my nakedness. Because initially I was saying that I am merciful, I am the best father, which was making me naked. Actually, these claims were making me naked. But if I say, no, the mercy that I experience is being provided to me, is being manifested on me. It's not mine. There must exist a merciful, hence I have this mercy over here. It's not mine really. As if this understanding itself becomes a beautiful cloth over me. And if you look at me, when I look at myself, it becomes very beautiful, as if you look at the mirror, you wore nice clothes and just you appreciate how beautiful clothes fit on you. And if I take this mercy as a cloth, it's put on me, and the maker, or what's it called? Tailor. If I say that, the tailor of this cloth really beautifully cut it and sewed it and everything. This mercy really fits perfectly here. But it's not mine, it's a cloth. Meaning it belongs to somebody else. And it perfectly covers all the incapacity in me. I said that it's not mine. My incapacity was lack of it, but it fits perfectly over my body. I said that yes, this mercy, not mine, but on me right now. It both covers and also beautifies. I appreciate the beauty. Does it make sense? Comments? Anything that you would like to add? And let's read the last verse.
Can you talk about God consciousness?
What kind of questions? Can you talk about God consciousness? Tell us a poem or
So can we say that now I become conscious that this mercy does not belong to me? This realization is my cloth.
Consciousness that you are not the owner.
And I am being provided with all these. It's, I guess, an important concept, a Quranic concept now to keep in mind, which in the following weeks when we study some other topic, this cloth of taqwa, libasu taqwa, cloth of God consciousness. So I guess because we are trying to get a lesson for myself from this text. So how can I sew or find a cloth or wear the cloth of God consciousness over me, so that I'm going to feel content, happy, and even beautiful. I'm going to go back to paradise in a sense. So I don't want to think about all the things that you have messed up so far in your life. I have many of them. So they are being covered up and even becoming beautiful. They were ugly. I was suffering from them. Now, as if this verse is saying that there is a way to cover them up, and even they are going to look beautiful. You are going to enjoy them now. And this cloth is, we are going to teach you how to make it. And this text is actually teaching me how to make it. And it is God consciousness, seeing the true source of it. And going back in the verses, cutting my relationship and dying with claims of ownership over things. Just detach, admit my falsehood of establishing such false relationship with the existence. And then realize where they are truly coming from. If they are not mine, whose are they? Is this relationship, was it my daughter was very cute, or was it my very merciful, or neither cuteness belongs to her nor mercy belongs to me? Both are being provided, being poured down, and I appreciate its source. Because she's going to grow up, I'm going to grow old. Cuteness will disappear. Mercy, when it happens, old people forget their sons or daughters, and God forbid, let's say Alzheimer's. People don't even recognize their children. They forget about mercy. Even the name disappears. If it was mine, I love, I know, everything goes away. The one that gave it to me is taking it away from me. So if I realize this before it is truly taken away from me, like as the Creator can take it away from me with Alzheimer's, but before He takes it away from me, I should be willingly giving it to Him, saying that this is yours, this mercy is yours, cuteness is yours, everything is yours. Because I see that none of us own it. I do not own it, she doesn't own it. And it's coming from a single source. The cuteness and mercy are coming from the same source. And once I live with this, it's a very peaceful state.
Maybe a different color, maybe God consciousness. So I was thinking when you said like giving to the owner. So yes, it sounds like true the right thing to do. But that's all. It's the right thing. But there's no, let's say, enjoyment. There's no pleasure in it. As if it's something, if I do it, it is okay. But if I don't do it, it's still okay. But so when I take it, for instance, God consciousness, or if I take it as wife consciousness, so what does it mean? Or friend consciousness. If I don't have these friend consciousness or wife consciousness or child consciousness, do I lose something? And the answer is definitely yes, right? Like when you look at your relationship with your friend, something is given to you from your friend. So if you are not friend conscious, you will just take it as something like it. You will take it, if it is food, you will eat it. If it is something to use, you will use it, and that's it. But if you are friend conscious, you will enjoy the fact that it was given to you. You will enjoy that you are taken care of. Or if you are, let's say, mother conscious, mom conscious, you will enjoy that everything your mother does, or or everything happens around you, they are not just happening, they are not just actions. They are done by your mother.
It didn't have to be as such.
Yes.
So you are not taking it for granted. Because
Exactly.
if I take existence for granted, I feel like it has to happen, or it happens like this. But if I take it as it is being given, then I'm becoming conscious of the giver.
Exactly. And as you become mother conscious, your life changes definitely. Your relationship with your mother, there's a relationship with your mother now, because before there was not. All these feeling of the compassion, or the feeling of the mercy, sometimes anger, sometimes forgiveness, it's all there, comes as a package. Once you become mother conscious.
So in the example of mother, if as a child I am not aware of it, and let's say when I come home, food is there. And this is my understanding. So the food becomes just something that feeds in my body. But if I become mother conscious, as you are saying, so then I will realize that this food is prepared with mercy. So food is also manifestation of mercy. It's not only feeding my stomach, it's also feeding my heart now. So, but this beauty of mercy starts appearing to me after I become conscious of the motherhood.
And it will help you, it will contribute like entirety of your life. If you are not mother conscious, you will just eat the food if there is food. If there is no food, there's nothing to do. You cannot ask your mother first. But if you are mother conscious, and if you become mother conscious through the food that you eat, when you have a trouble, in another occasion, let's say, you will cry as, oh, mommy, help me, right? And even this fact that you can cry calling your mother, it's something, a plus for you that helps you if you are mother conscious. If not, when you find food, you will eat. When you cannot find food, you don't. That's your life. And I guess the similar way, when you become God conscious, through the cloth that you are given, or having the God conscious on you, this is the way you live your life. You experience all these manifestations as they are given to you, as they are brought to you. And without this God consciousness, you are naked. You don't have anything. Nothing.
So there
She's
was
mother conscious.
So there's this one last verse, and the surah continues, but maybe we should just mention this last verse, 27. يا بني آدم لا يفتننكم الشيطان كما أخرج أبويكم من الجنة ينزع عنهما لباسهما ليريهما سوآتهما إنه يراكم هو وقبيله من حيث لا ترونهم إنا جعلنا شياطين أولياء للذين لا يؤمنون. So again, all children of Adam, do not allow Satan to seduce you in the same way as he caused your ancestors to be driven out of the garden. He deprived them of their garments, and garment in this case being of God consciousness, in order to make them aware of their nakedness. Verily, he and his tribe are lying in wait for you where you cannot pursue them. Verily, we have placed all manner of satanic forces, or Satans, near unto those who do not truly believe. So, very briefly, what I see in here is, again, tying it with the previous verse. Creator is reminding me that I am in need of this cloth of God consciousness. And the story was my story. And I can be deceived again as Adam was deceived in here. So again, it's me to be deprived of this cloth, and as if removing this cloth by thinking that the tree itself has this inherent quality of giving me eternal life, or if I, let's say, have a child, I'm going to attain happiness. If I marry this girl, I'm going to be the most happy one on earth. So the verse is calling me to my senses, saying that do not be deceived by such false suggestions. So this last part of the verse is interesting. Verily, he and his tribe are lying in wait for you where you cannot perceive them. إِنَّهُ يَرَاكُمْ هُوَ وَقَبِيلُهُ مِنْ حَيْثُ لَا تَرَوْنَهُ. As if a literal translation would be, they see you from where you do not see them. إِنَّهُ يَرَاكُمْ هُوَ وَقَبِيلُهُ مِنْ حَيْثُ لَا تَرَوْنَهُ. Satan and his tribe sees you from where you do not see them. So is it like, for example, when it comes to this relationship with my daughter, I didn't consider it as something bad to become a perfect father. I didn't perceive it as evil. But it was as if this idea of becoming a perfect father was evil to me, and as if it was looking for an opportunity to make me fall. So, as if this verse is saying that be careful. It's going to come in a very friendly manner. It's going to be very, as Abdurrahman was saying, very neutral, not even neutral. It's going to be very friendly, because in the previous verses, Satan was saying that indeed I am in goodwill for you. So I guess this verse I can confirm, saying that indeed these Satans or satanic thoughts are out there looking at me from angles which I do not see them, because I do not see them as Satan or evil. I just take them as to be very good, like taking the Nobel Prize as a.
There's nothing wrong with Nobel Prize.
As to make my nation's name higher. Like a Muslim is going to take Nobel Prize. What's wrong with that? It's even good. It's going to be good advertisement. Whatever. Not to say that it's evil. So add my name to your papers as another author so that I can benefit when you get the Nobel Prize. So, and the last part of the verse, إِنَّا جَعَلْنَا الشَّيَاطِينَ أَوْلِيَاءَ لِلَّذِينَ لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ. It's very interesting. Indeed, we have placed, or إِنَّا جَعَلْنَا الشَّيَاطِينَ. So I'm going to go with the literal translation. Indeed, we made the Satans as awliya, if you like, protectors or friends of unbelievers. What does this mean?
Like what you were just saying, you thought getting this Nobel Prize was a good thing. It would show my country very well. You saw it as a friend. But in fact, it was Satan. It was a very false claim.
What's the relation between being an unbeliever and being in that sort of a relationship with Satan? What's the relationship between unbelief and Satan?
So belief would mean having God consciousness, maybe? If you had God consciousness, then you wouldn't see Satan as a friend.
It's interesting. It's not saying that kafirun, the deniers of truth. It says we place Satans around those who do not believe.
Or maybe it's educational. Like you have like a flaw in you. Like, okay, you pray and do those things, but now in this relationship with your child, you're trying to attain something that is bad for you. You don't, maybe in this relationship, you don't believe correctly. So he places this as an education for you. This alluring idea of being a perfect father.
So then let's take this la yu'minun in there as like iman as having security. As if the Creator says, we put Satans around those who are insecure, meaning that they didn't wear this cloth yet. Because once I wear the cloth of taqwa, God consciousness, now I am secure. It looks very beautiful on me. And I do not feel this vulnerability anymore. I don't see this incapacity, because I do see that it's all a manifestation, very beautiful. But if I'm insecure in something, the Creator put Satans around me, and I do see that actually. If I am insecure in terms of my title, and I feel like my title is going to add something to me, it's going to complete me. If I have some sort of a understanding, which means I'm lacking in terms of my belief in the sense that my security, my conviction, something is missing in there. And right there, I find Satan there actually, in practical life. Around my insecurities, around my lack of convictions about source of things, I do find Satan's there. Satan's meaning all those false claims. Well, once you become professor, you're going to be all set. You're going to be happy forever.
You're linking that to like the satanic ideas of I have inherent value. Is that what you mean by satanic forces when you're interpreting this?
Yes. Because I have either inherent value or like this, I'm going to gain a value, inherent value, if I become a professor. Because I am now lacking it. But once I get this title, I'm going to be. So if I am, that's in terms of having some inherent value, if I'm not secure in the sense that my value is being given existence, I don't have any value. So if I'm secure and convinced with this idea, I am content. But if I'm insecure, still I will search for some value out there. And I'm going to find a lot of Satans around me, which will suggest that, well, if you become professor, you will be happy. Or if you buy this car, you're going to be happy. And then the journey will start again. The whole journey that we have been discussing, I'm going to fall for it. I'm going to live in there. I will need to die, meaning that detach myself from all those false claims of ownership. Then I'm going to be raised back to paradise. Or I will realize my nakedness. I will try to cover it up with excuses. And then from on high will be reminded me what it truly means, what was the purpose of this, so making me conscious of its maker, God consciousness. And I will wear this cloth, my vulnerability, my incapacity will disappear because the incapacity is there, but I'm not in odds with it anymore. I'm happy with it because with it, through it, I realized that I am being provided. I was hungry. Initially, I was unhappy with my hunger, with my neediness. Later on, I realized that through my hunger, actually, I can appreciate being provided food. So I'm happy with it. And it becomes something beautiful on me. I wear it as a cloth. So I guess this is, as such, saying that you are going to find those Satans around you. We placed them there. Isn't it interesting? Creator says, we put them there. Because if it was kafirun, it might have sounded like as if it's a punishment, but it says la yu'minun. So to me, it sounded like, I mean, when we think about it, are you a believer? Yeah, I'm a believer, like black and white terms. But when it comes to, let's say, my title, I might say that my title is, I'm a professor, I'm going to become valuable when I become a professor, whatever. This is not really a believer attitude, if you take it as such. If I am thinking that being a professor is going to add value to me, although I might in general be a believer, when it comes to this specific point, I am insecure there. Something is wrong in there. And then Creator puts Satans around this point, meaning that I'm going to put some teachers in there, some false thoughts in there, which is going to allure you, and you're going to fall for them. You're going to realize your fault, you will die, and raise back to paradise. So this business with Satan, the summary of this 4 or 5 weeks of discussion, it's a training. It's not like something got out of control, got created, but somehow it get out of control. Now Satan is just waiting there to take revenge from God because God just misled him, whatever. No, this is totally by design. And it's actually explaining my existence. And why do I say it's by design? Because it fits perfectly for the purposes of my existence over here, which is learning. And saying this, we should stop here because we didn't talk about is learning my purpose in this existence. Maybe inshallah next week we can start the other story about Adam, which is وَعَلَّمَ آدَمَ الْأَسْمَاءَ كُلَّهَا, and we taught Adam all the names, says Qur'an. So so far we were studying who am I. As an extension to this who am I, next week let's start discussing
Why am I?
what am I doing here? What is my purpose in here? سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم وآخر دعواهم أن الحمد لله رب العالمين. الفاتحة.